Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb Deloach. We're back here after a little bit of a hiatus. It was mostly strategic on my end. It wasn't just me being lazy or having things to do. I did have things to do, but the idea was basically to wait until all of basketball regular season was over with and not try to jump in right here when there's like a game or two left here, or we're in the middle of district tournament here, or we're in the middle of wrestling state championships. I figured let's let all the Class 4, 5, and 6 schools wrap up the regular season. Let's finish wrestling, and then, let the districts 1, 2, and 3, or classes 1, 2, and 3 districts play out, and then jump into it, talk about it here. So I feel like we're in a perfect spot to kind of get to everything that has transpired and everything that's coming up. So, order of events here. We're going to finish up the basketball regular season. I'm going to wrap up all that. I'm going to then go in and talk about, we'll talk about what happened we had, one of our local schools in Class 3. Then we will wrap up all of the wrestling postseason. And then, out of my jurisdiction a little bit, but I want to go backtrack and talk about the Class 1, 2, and 3 district playoffs so far. Like I said, I enjoy all that stuff. I've watched a lot of the games that have happened already. So talk about that. Talk about, what's coming up in the sectionals and quarterfinals for our local Class 1, 2, and 3 teams. And then finally finish up, talk about the Class 4, 5, and 6 teams here that I often talk about, Cape Jackson, Notre Dame. So obviously Saxony's already done. Cape Jackson, Notre Dame, and kind of what's coming up for them. So it's going to be the order of events, and we'll jump right into it. Start with a couple weeks ago now. We'll talk boys basketball all the way back February 16th, so about half a month ago, a couple weeks ago, to wrap up the regular season. Twin Rivers knocks off Saxony 74-62. Nice showing by Saxony. Saxony had a very busy into their regular season. They played a bunch of games in succession. Twin Rivers is a very solid team, but Saxony played with them, but Twin Rivers got the better of them. Then they played again, Saxony. They hosted Scott City. Scott City, a different animal, I believe they went to Scott City. They played Scott City. Scott City, a little bit of a different animal. They blew out Saxony 67-23. Also that same day, we had a couple other games. Charleston, Cape. Cape went down to Charleston. Cape was unable to get it done. That game, I believe, went to overtime. Cape lost 49-41. But it was an optimistic showing by Cape. Showed signs of life there. The defense showed up. I mean, they gave up 49 to a good Charleston team. And it gave me optimism here closing out the season, kind of the way they were able to play late in the year. And especially, it started with that game, in my opinion. It was a nice showing going down on the road to Charleston when things have not been going your way, and to compete for 4 quarters plus overtime. And then also that same night, a big one for the Indians. Jackson boys, they went on the road to Seckman, kind of out in the woods west of west of Arnold. Jackson went on the road, knocked off Seckman 58-46. Will Thomas had 19 points in the ballgame. Good win. That essentially wrapped up Jackson having a top 3 seed for sure, as Seckman is in the only team Jackson plays in their district. At this point, I didn't know how it was going to shake out seeding-wise, but I knew that gave him a top 3 seed. Jackson, Lindbergh, Cardinal Ritter were all kind of vying for that top spot. I know I talked about in the last podcast kind of all my scenarios I had. So that was a big one, winning that one over Seckman. Seckman's a good team. They're very competitive. They play tough defense. They have good shooters. They have a kid, Geatley, who is an unbelievable player all around, inside, outside, 6'4" wing. I don't know if there's any relation to the Geatleys and Dexter or not, but not a name you see a lot. But yeah, Jackson did a good job. That kid went insane. He put up 30-something, I think, in the ball game. He went off, but it did not matter. Jackson holds on. Gets the win by 12 on the road. Then the next night, Notre Dame hosted Bernie, and Bernie got the win over Notre Dame, 63-54. I knew it was going to be a tough game for Notre Dame. I thought it was a winnable game, though, just because they're relatively similar built teams. Bernie does have, the ACOT kid inside who is talented, can score around the rim well. And Notre Dame, not a big post presence type of team. They do have some size. Gabe Jones is good starter size. Outside of that, though, Evan Schweinbold is undersized a little bit, I would say, but just a strong kid, kind of helps out in the post. I mean, I think Dylan Rubel's the tallest kid on the team, but he's essentially a 2/3. He plays on the perimeter mostly. So, I thought this was a game that Notre Dame could pull off, but Bernie just kind of pushed ahead and kind of held him at arm's reach throughout most of all the ball game. Controlled with the narrow lead throughout. Braden Robert played well. He had 19. Cole Adams had 15. These guys played well. They really hit some shots late to try to get Notre Dame over the hump, but we're not able to. And then Friday the 20th, we had 3 games, one very big one. Start with Kennett knocking off Saxony. That was at Kennett. Saxony went on the road. It was a close one for, I want to say, 3/4 of the ball game, but Kennett blew them out there late, 157-36. That was the final regular season game of the year for Saxony, finishing their year at 6-20. It's not a great, obviously, record to finish with. I don't know. I mean, the team felt better. It felt solid this year. It felt like they were improved from last season. But the issue was kind of an issue they had last year as well, which was finishing basketball games. I mean, you look at how many of these games Saxony could have won in the last, 2-3 minutes of the ball game, but were unable to either hold on or unable to complete a comeback, whatever it might be. At St. John, they lost in overtime. At North County, they lose by 3. The Winter Warrior Classic at Valley Catholic, they lose to Valley with a Y out of Caledonia. They lose that by 1. They lose to Valley Catholic by 1. They lost it by 16 to Leopold, but that was a single-digit game in the fourth quarter. They lose at St. Pius by 7. They lose at home against Doniphan by 3. They did finally get the monkey off their back. They beat Kelly by 2. They beat Jefferson by 2, which was an unbelievable win, by the way. That was a big win, in my opinion, for them. But then you come back, you lose by Oak Ridge. You lose by 5 to Oak Ridge. You lose, that Twin Rivers game. It wasn't really in doubt, but it was a 12-point loss. So there's so many games with, a couple possessions swing the other way. This Saxony team is sitting about 500 as opposed to, 15 games below it. So hope things keep going in the right direction there. Hope they continue to improve going into next year. I know Saxony has suddenly positioned itself as being very all in on football, but I'd like to see them pick up the basketball side of things, a commitment to basketball from across the board at school. Finally, Cape Central, they got a big win. I believe it was senior night. They won 59-35 over Gateway. Jaden Johnson led the way with 13 points. Another good defensive effort, 35 points you give up. I mean, you're going to win a lot of games doing that. And then finally, we had the game of the year in Southeast Missouri, game of the year in the SEMO Conference, all that jazz. And it was a good one. I mean, Jackson and Sikeston at Jackson. It was pretty much everything it was billed to be. Sikeston gets to win 65-61. And Jackson was there. I mean, they had the ball, I want to say, they had it, I think, nearly the final 40 seconds of the game. They had it, I believe, sideline out of bounds with 11 seconds on the clock. Got a really good look at the rim as, good play design. You got the ball in Ty Forrest's hands. You knew that it was a matchup that you think he could win one-on-one. Got a couple of high ball screens. And he got to the rim, just missed a shot. I mean, it looked good. It was on the rim, just fell off, and that was how it was a 2-point game. So Jackson went for the tie, and Sikeston kicked it out. They had to run out and shot a layup as time expired. That was why it became a 4-point game. But yeah, I mean, Jackson played well. Too many early turnovers. Sikeston built a 12-point lead earlier in the ball game. I think in the second quarter, mid-second quarter. But Jackson didn't go away. They didn't roll over and quit. They kept fighting, kept getting defensive stops. I mean, they held Sikeston 65 points. It's not a low number by any means in high school basketball, but it's a Sikeston team that averages over 80. And so Jackson held them to, I believe, 55 and 65 this year. So overall, not bad. Yeah, it was a good effort. It was a fun game. A lot of guys stepped up, hit big shots. But yeah, just a little too much, too many turnovers early. Sean Cole, kind of the hero of the game. If you're Sykeston, he had, I believe, 17 in the ball game, which is well above his season average. I believe Sean Cole's a kid that actually went to Jackson at one point in time, in like middle school, junior high, something like that. So could have been an Indian. If he was an Indian, maybe the results goes the other way. It was a really fun game. Like I said, everything you could have asked for in that ball game. And yeah, Jackson was competitive. It was a very fun way to kind of close out the regular season, essentially. Obviously, both teams had a couple more games left, but it felt like a good cherry on top of the season. Obviously gave Sykeston another SEMO Conference regular season championship. And Jackson lost their first game in the SEMO Conference. Also, that was the second time Sykeston had beaten Jackson. To that point, the only 2 losses Jackson had all year. And great game. Really, really fun ball game. Not a lot to hang your head about, but like I said, just one notable issue that continues to pop up for the Indians when they play good teams or teams that like to pressure really tough is the turnovers. The turnover is something they've got to clean up. We'll talk more about it later. Then that next day, Cape actually went on the road after winning there on senior night. They went down to Poplar Bluff. Not going to act like Poplar Bluff is a world beater or anything, but they went on the road to Poplar Bluff, got a win over your rival Poplar Bluff on a Saturday on the road, 60-56, which is also really encouraging because this is a Cape team that's really struggled to score. You put up 59 and 60 in back-to-back games. Kind of gives me a little bit more optimism as well. We'll stick with the boys. I was going to flip over to girls. Continuing on with the boys, you go to the next week. Jackson continues a tough stretch I talked about in the last pod. They go to Webster Groves. Webster Groves, the defending Class 5 state champions, the number 1 team in Class 5 at the moment. Maybe the best player in the state of Missouri on the team, Scotty Atkinson, the reigning Gatorade Player of the Year. The kid's unbelievable. He did everything. The kid had 45 points. He had 45 points out of their 74 to win 74-65. It's a well-played game by Jackson, especially offensively. The Indians played really well, at least, half-court execution-wise. Put up 65 on a good Webster Groves defensive team is nice. Ty Forrest led the way with 17. He's a kid that always steps up in big games. Give him that. Jory Toma had 15 in the game. Jackson was hitting shots. I think they had 9 made threes, which, there's some teams like a Sykeston that have put up 17 or other teams put up crazy numbers. But the Jackson Jackson doesn't live and die really by the three much, but they shot the ball from 3 really, really well. But once again, early on, it was just the turnovers. Luckily for the Indians, they were playing really well defensively back the other way, and they forced Webster Groves into about as many turnovers. But, it was too much. It was Webster Groves' senior night. It was a weird night, maybe just for me or whatever, for the fans, maybe more so than the players. They did like a 5-minute Scotty Atkinson video tribute before the game. It was like the kid had died, but it was because he had won, or he had surpassed the all-time leading scoring mark in school record as only a junior. So he's about to put that mark into untouchable territory over the next year. We had a highlight video, and then you had random Webster Groves and Scotty Atkinson basketball life adjacent people do like selfie testimonial videos like, wow, hey, Scotty, congrats, yada, yada. It's kind of a weird vibe. They did this after both teams were on their benches ready to come out for the starting lineups. So you had that. You had Dennis Gates, the head coach of Mizzou, and a couple other assistants were there on the sidelines watching Scotty, who's committed to Mizzou. Yeah, and then the kid just goes out and drops 45 points. He was the entire team, basically. Jackson did a good job on most other people. They got out on kids who were really good shooters. Had a couple other kids that are averaging double figures. The Indians really held them below their season average, but Scotty Atkinson was averaging 27, and he went well above that. So, he was out of his mind. Every drive was a layup or a free throw. And so, tough break for the Indians. Go to the next day, Tuesday. We'll wait to talk about the postseason here in a second. Cape Central picks up their third win in a row. They go down to Kennett, knock off the Indians 47-38. Once again, another great defensive showing by Cape. Kennett, also not a great team by any means, but Cape took care of business. So pick up a SEMO Conference win there as well. Back-to-back SEMO Conference wins. And then speaking of SEMO Conference games, Notre Dame, potential preview of the Class 4 District 1 championship game. They went down south to Dexter and lost that game 63-54. I mean, it's a tough game. It's always going to be a tough matchup against Dexter. They're good defensively. They've got, dudes all over the court that can do a lot of different things offensively. John Sepulvedo was really big in the ball game. Elijah Ibrahim was tough. It's tough to guard down low. So it was a good preview. I mean, potential preview of the district championship. So I'll be excited to see those teams play again. And that game would also be at Dexter, by the way. But yeah, Notre Dame drops that one by 9. And then they turn right back around. Play 2 days later, they host Jackson in the final regular season game of the year for both teams. And, Notre Dame, they played really, really well, especially early in the game. It kept it very close, very competitive early on. They took the physicality to Jackson. Jackson really just dominated them in the first matchup, right? It was 54-19. Which was the lowest scoring total I think Notre Dame has had in 20 years. So, they came out with a chip on their shoulder, and I was really, really impressed. Notre Dame played great. Colton Londaway really was a big part of that, and the fact that, he was able to get penetration. He got, he get into the lane quite a bit, which opened things up for other guys cutting off the wing. Braden Robert had a really good first half. He had 11 in the first half. And so, yeah, I mean, the Londaway kid really opened things up for the Bulldogs to get good looks. And then on the other end, they were playing really, really tough physical defense. They made things really hard around the basket. They were holding Jackson to one shot there early in the first half. Then as the game kind of wore on, I just felt like, Jackson just had a little bit more gas, right? As an Indians team that, they played a lot of good teams. They played a lot of close games. And they just went on a big run. They pushed the lead up to, I think, 22 at one point. I think early fourth quarter, maybe into the third quarter. And so it felt pretty much over after that. We were just kind of delaying the inevitable. Notre Dame kept fighting, though. You got to give them that. They the guys didn't give up. Cole Adams got hot in the fourth quarter, hit some shots, hit a bunch of free throws. That fourth quarter went on forever. There was a million fouls. I'm like, come on, everybody. It was also the same thing last year at Jackson. It was the most boring fourth quarter of my life, calling a basketball game. But Notre Dame fought. They stay competitive. They do lose 62-48. It's a good experience. You're going to face tough teams. You're going to face Dexter probably again here in a week. So it was a nice game to close out the year for Notre Dame. But Jackson picks up the win, finishes, the SEMO Conference, only one loss. They finished the regular season 22-3. So you have to be excited about that. I'll talk more kind of postseason, post-mortem, of the whole season, after everything's over with, obviously. But, you got to commend the Indians. They finished 23-3 in the regular season. Just a phenomenal regular season. The best regular season that I can really remember. I know they've won a couple more games than that in the mid-2010s. They had 24-win season, a 23-win season, 14-15. But 23 in the regular season is more than either of those teams had. So big-time accomplishment. Great job by this coaching staff, by this team. They just keep chopping away. There's nothing fancy they do. There's nothing special. There's no, you have John Ernst, who's 6'8", he's a sophomore, SEMO offer, super talented. But, even still, it doesn't feel like there's not these heir apparent. There's not a Scotty Atkinson, for example, right? So, they just have unselfish dudes who sit down, play hard defense, and move the rock. Nobody cares if it's their night to score 15 to 17 points. but every night somebody is doing it, right? So it's been really, really fun to watch. I get to see every single game up close and personal. So I have a connection to this team, obviously, more so than the others, even around the area. But, I've been really, really impressed. It's been a lot of fun to watch. And then flip it over there to Notre Dame. Good season, 15-11. A lot of people didn't know what to think, really. You lose 10 seniors. Some people were down on you a little bit. You're like, hey, you're 500 last year, and you lose 2 kids that are in the top 10 all time in scoring, things like that, rebounds, 3-point makes, things like that. Colton Johnson and Brett Dohan were up and down the record books. But I said it going into this is my one pat on the back. I think this episode will be I did a basketball preview show with Rusty Hendricks on SEMO ESPN, his SEMO Scramble he does on Saturday. And I said it. I was like, I don't know what the end result will be, but I really like Notre Dame this year. I like this group. I like the sophomores. I like the kids who are going to be filling in for those 10 roster spots that have moved on. It's a small senior class this year, right? Just Colton Londaway, Gabe Jones. I knew if Colton Londaway just kept that incremental improvement that he had been on, that he could be a very solid senior point guard. I liked, some of the juniors that are going to be stepping up into roles. Devin Dannemuller. I really hope to see a good jump from Dylan Rubel, which he's taken. Trenton Powell has been a nice defensive revelation out on the perimeter. And then, the sophomores. The sophomores are who I was really high on. These are kids that I've watched play basketball their entire life. Cole Adams. Cole Adams has been a stud. He's one of the best sophomores in the area. He's a kid who every night in and night out, you expect to put up 15. And he's done so. He's taken care of business. He's been really, really entertaining to watch. Braden Robert has been phenomenal. He's a weird tweener position-wise where he's, 6'1", 6'2", but he's just hyper-aggressive, just attacking the rim, relentless around the basket. He's made a big impact. I hope Colin Earps comes back 100% next year. I know he had the lower body injury that took him out for the year. Stuff to see, but there's a whole group. Evan Schweinbold, I like a lot inside. Ty Blattle, I like, good player. All these kids, Bryson Edwards, Colin Farrow, Quinn Gammon. All these names here, all these sophomore kids that I've seen throughout the years over there at the Sportsplex during my time working there. I'm big fans of all of them. Luke Clippard, only a 9th grader. I'm interested to see where he ends up here as a player. But, a lot of them are good kids as well. So I'm very optimistic on the future, obviously, of Notre Dame, but I'm really impressed at the season they had. Like I said, you had this group that a lot of people liked, but this team has already done better than this group that just graduated any year they were in high school. So shout out to those guys, man. Shout out to Coach Brinkmeyer and company. And we'll see what happens in districts here. They got some games they could win. All right, now we're going to reverse all the way back to girls basketball here, finish up the regular season. Games that went on. You had one there way back Monday, February 16th. Jackson beat Saxony 101-23. The way I described it to somebody was, we know Jackson is really, really good, better than anybody in the area by miles. And this is what happens when a really, really good team plays everything perfectly. Everything just went perfectly. Like the turnover, the pressure was just perfect. Forcing a turnover, layup, turnover, layup, turnover, layup, turnover, layup, kick out, threes, kick out, three, kick out, three. It was the best embodiment of just the snowball rolling down the hill, turning into this gargantuan boulder avalanche that just ran over Saxony. It sucks. I like the Saxony team a lot, and them getting blown out like that is obviously hard, but not a lot you can do about it, man. Jackson was just scoring at will. It didn't matter. It didn't matter who was in. It was Kate Deck in the JV, and 4 of the starting 5 of the JV midway through the third quarter were in the ball game. So everybody was getting buckets. The 2 people I want to highlight, Kate Deck, she has 17 points, 13 steals is crazy. 13 steals in the game is crazy. Also 7 assists. And then Adeline Abernathy, the big one. Adeline Abernathy, man, 9th grader. Her and her sister, Chloe, both phenomenal. I think, if I remember right now, I think they combined to go perfect from the field. But Adeline had 27 points. She went 11 of 11 from the field, 27 points, career high. Super cool for her. She's a beast. Her sister's a beast. This freshman class is good. Sophomore class is very good. Jackson's going to be a problem for years to come. So everybody's like, they're very dominant right now. They're going to stay pretty darn dominant for the next few years. Same day, Cape went on the road, got a big win over Woodland, which I was impressed by. Obviously, Woodland's not as good as they might have been a year ago, but going on the road there, and a Cape team that, had dropped maybe a game the previous week that they shouldn't have to Dexter. It was nice to see them go there, win 54-29, blow out Woodland. Speaking of blowouts, Notre Dame on the wrong side of one. They got blown out by a really high state-ranked Farmington team, 77-28. The next night, they went on the road to Scott City, lost close, 56-51 to the Rams. Cape got back-to-back wins. This one over conference rival Sykeston. Notable there, Caden Kern, the freshman, put up 20 points, so shout out to Caden. I'm high on her and what she can be as a player. I think she's going to be very good over the next several years. I mean, only a 9th grader, a girl who's consistently in double figures, can put up 20 points, really good volleyball player. So I've been high on this Cape team all year. I really like Coach Summer over there. And in that same game, Jamie Dawson-Ide and Allie Cairns both had 13 points as well. So, I mean, they have consistent contributors that I really like, and I think they can be solid here as we head to the postseason. Saxony, they dropped another game. This one to North County, a really good North County team, 60-47. And then Notre Dame played one of the best teams in Class 6. Corhay Zoo lost 60-24. Cape then picked up another win this week, their third of the week. Beat Gateway Legacy. That was senior night for them. Won 50-28. Abby Davenport, Jamie Dawson, both 12 points apiece. So that was great to see. And then that was their last regular season game, was February 20th. They're off until March 2nd, which is when you're going to be watching this, but huge break for them. So we'll see how that plays into it. A little rust versus rest type of argument, I guess. But really good year. I said I like this Cape team. I like where they're at. They keep improving, in my opinion, from last year. They made a big jump last year into being competitive. This year they took even another step forward, in my opinion, where they're beating teams. I mean, regardless, Notre Dame being down, they beat Notre Dame for the first time in, I have no idea, maybe my lifetime. So, great accomplishments this year by Cape Central. Finished regular season 500 is it's nice. It's good to see. I mean, it's their first year 500 or better since 2023, since the 22-23 season. So shout out to them. They have a little uphill battle here in districts, but I'm excited here. I'm excited for the future. Things are rolling in the right direction. I think Coach Summer's a good coach, and you only lose one senior, obviously an important one. Eventually, is, like I said, something we'll talk about later on. But Abby Davenport, the lone senior, going to be moving on, but you got pieces I really like, man. I mentioned it, Caden Kern, Nidra Ivy, Jamie Dawson, Allie Cairns, Emma Brockling. Like, they've got some people coming up, too, that are really talented, so I'm excited to see where they can be and what they can do here in the coming years. Moving on, though, that same Corhay Zoo team that blew out Notre Dame were on the other side of a blowout. They lost 60-36 to Jackson. Obviously, that opened a lot of eyes. Jackson beating a team that's right next to them, I think one spot behind them in the state rankings. Now you have to there's a little give and take here, right? Corhay Zoo's best player, the Ortworth girl, Lauren Ortworth, she was not playing in this ball game. She was out of town. Something else that drives me crazy, won't get into at the moment. She was out of town for this game. She's going to make a huge difference if they do see each other in a district championship game scenario. I mean, she's big, strong, physical, athletic presence around the paint. She averages 20 and 10. So, you add 20 points here, that's 60-56, and then how many does she take away for Jackson, right? Because she's, Lauren Dory destroyed them in this game. I think she had 19. Henderson, I think, had 19. So, how many of those points shrivel up. She's going to make things difficult inside for people that see her. We'll talk more about that here in a minute, but it won't be as easy as next time Jackson faces off against Corey Zoo. That is for certain. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention, the kind of lead into the show, I'll talk about here in a minute, is swimming as well. So we'll get to swimming here in just a minute. So closing out the regular season, Jackson played Dexter at Dexter, 76-13. It's another massacre. Lauren Dory, 19 points. Kate Deck, 10 points, 6 steals, 5 assists. Chloe Abernathy in double figures there with 10 points. Notre Dame got a nice win over Park Hill Central. When I saw this come through, I was just like, wow, all right. The Bulldogs, 49-28. Eloisa Marquez put up 13. Ava Miller had 10, both of them in double figures. So nice win by the Bulldogs late in the year. Jackson back in action at Sykeston. Tough physical game. Literally does not matter. Jackson a little slow early on, a little sluggish early. Still blowout victory. Bryn Banderman shot the ball really, really well. Chloe Abernathy played really well in this ball game as well. So shout out to them. I mean, like I said, 2 freshmen on this team just balling out. Bryn Banderman had 4 made threes, 12 total points. Chloe Abernathy had 11 in this one. So back-to-back double-figure games for her. She had 7 rebounds, 6 of them offensive rebounds, 3 steals. Then Lauren Dory inside, 14 points. Against the Sykeston team that has the, Crooks girl, who's big. So nice showing by her. And then they went on the road, 3rd time the week, and blew out Hazelwood West, 75-43. They did that with no Lauren Dory and no Rachel Berger, who was out that game as well. 2 big ones in that. I mean, Addison Henderson, Kate Deck combined for 42 points. So they were combined 1 point shy of Hazelwood West. Addison Henderson, man, she's played really, really well down the stretch. She's going to be a big X factor for this team. People are going to, if you've got a big, you're going to clue in, you're going to double team down low on Lauren Dory when she catches. And then if you've got Kate Deck, you're going to want to face guard her, try to take her away. And so it's going to put Addison Henderson in a spot where she's going to have to make plays, and she's shown down the stretch, really, she's capable of doing that. She's had some big games. She's played really well, hit shots. In this one, she went 7 of 7 from the field, 21 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals. She always fills up the stat sheet. She does a little bit of everything. She's a tweener, wing, forward type player. Her shots really improved. Her lefty shot looks a lot better this year. She hits shots. She can hit shots, off the bounce, jab step, shooting somebody's face, things like that. So her game's improving, and she's going to be important down the stretch. I mean, her, the Abernathys, all these girls, not named Deck and Dory, who teams are going to try to take away those 2. If you're all these other girls, you got to step up, make plays, and Addison is kind of the tip of the spear as far as that goes. And then also the other half of the 42 points, Kate Deck at 21. Nice showing by her. Kind of got out of a little bit of a funk. She had been shooting, kind of poorly the last week or so before that. Got out of a funk, hit some shots. Everything looked a lot better, a lot more smooth. So they're going to need her. I mean, she's one of the best players in the state in the class of 2028. She's got to go be a dude here late in the season. So they're going to need her in these big time games coming up. And finally, closing out the year, Notre Dame gets blown out by Donovan, 86-14. That was her last regular season game as well. Notre Dame finishes the season 6-18. Yeah, unfortunate season for the girls over there at Notre Dame. I mean, it's 6-18, a tough year. I mean, one of their first single-digit win season since 2015. But I'm optimistic things will get going right back in the other direction. It's been a lot of turnover there the last couple of years. You lose seniors. You lose a lot of transfers. You lose some more seniors. And, kind of the theoretical rotation of everything has gotten up in upheaval here. So I think in the next couple of years, things will smooth back out. Notre Dame will be on the uptick. I mean, you look at their class distribution, it's unusual as well. You've got 3 seniors moving on. Kayla Nebalski, Mia Panton, Lola Wonderlick, all important pieces here. And then you've got 3 juniors, Miller Marquez and Ella Hart. And then everybody else is a freshman on the roster here on Bisha website. So as these younger girls keep getting their feet wet here, I think they're going to help this team kind of get back direction where they should be. So I think that's everything as far as basketball goes. Wrap up the basketball season. We're going to rewind. We're going to go to swimming. We'll talk swimming real quick here. The swimming state championships have concluded. We had a double state champion. That's gonna be where you lead off, right? So big shout out to Karsynne McAlister, Cape Central. Unbelievable year. I mean, she's just been dominant every meet. You see her, the results come through. I see it's like, oh, Karsynne McAlister won. Karsynne McAlister won. It's like, okay, all right. Like, where are we? We're building here. We're building. And she gets there. She defends her state championship into 50 free, goes back-to-back there, gets first, and then goes over to the 100 backstroke and gets first there as well. So double state champion, Karsynne McAlister. Shout out to Karsynne, man. Huge, huge showing there at the state championships. Also, for Cape Central, Kennedy Ringwald got on the medal stand, finished 7th in the 100 free, and then 9th in the 200 free. And then Bella Green of Saxony, they're at the same meet, gets 14th in the 500 freestyle. So shout out to everybody who qualified for state, everybody who might not have finished there in the made it to the finals, things like that. But shout out to those girls who swam well there in Class 1 state, and then bump up a class for Jackson. Lindley LaValle goes on up to state, finished 6th in the 200 free, and then finishes 8th in the 500 free. It's too far to swim. Too far to swim, Lindley. Too far. So shout out to her. She'll be back at Jackson again next year, as will McAlister. Now, I said that. As I was saying that out loud, it feels wrong, but I think I am correct. This is an in-show, yes. Karsynne McAlister, only a sophomore, so shout out to her. Going to be a problem going forward. I'm excited to see just where she can go. Going to rewrite some record books. Going to win a lot of medals, I assume. And then Lindley is only a junior. I was right. Okay. So we have these great swimmers back next year. I'm excited to see it. Shout out to those girls, man. Big time showings, getting medals, getting on the stand. And then shout out to Karsynne. Double state champ is just insane. Unbelievable. So very, very cool for her. And Cape Central continuing the dominance of swimming, man. Just a powerhouse in swimming. And they keep it rolling. Switching gears to wrestling, we'll start with districts and state qualifiers. So looking at state qualifiers, back, now over a couple weeks ago, Notre Dame boys had one qualifier. Parker Lemons out of Class 2, District 1, goes on to state at 157. For Cape Central, they had 3 boys, Dane Armstrong at 113, Connor Poole at 190, Caden Lamb at heavyweight. And then for the girls, they had one. It's Madison Smoot over at 145. So congrats to each of them. Qualifying for state for Jackson at a ton. Okay. 13 total between boys and girls, 10 on the boys' side, which I saw an interview with Coach Wachter, who is retiring now. He was retired now, technically. He said this is the most they've had since he's been in Class 4, since he's been there at Jackson. He said at least 32 years. This is the most that he's ever had. So huge for them. On the girls' side, Kayleigh Milam, one of the best in the entire state at 110. Lily Morningstar at 115. And Maeve Novak at 125. For the boys, inhale. Graidy Rice at 120. Mitchell Baker at 132. Cade King at 138. Jason Eddy at 144. Gannon Rice at 150. Raleigh Evans, 157. Joe Moore at 175. Jordan Sestillo at 190. Charlie Eifert at 215. And then the big man, Brysen Wessell, 10 qualifiers. Insane. And now, for how each of those kids fared there at state, we'll start with Parker Lemons. Parker Lemons, the lone Notre Dame representative. Lemons went 1-2 at the state meet. Lost. Got pinned in his first match in the first round. Then returned to favor in his second match, and then finally got knocked out there by a fall. So Parker Lemons, he'll be graduating. Congrats to Parker on a great career. Heading to state, very, very good accomplishment. always big time, especially around here, getting out of the area, going up to state. So Parker Lemons went 1-2 at state. For Cape Central, Madison Smoot, the lone girl, 0-2 there at state. But nice year for Madison. She wrestled really, really well throughout the season. For the boys, Dane Armstrong also 0-2 there, losing by decision each time. Caden Lamb lasted a little bit longer. He made it 4 rounds. He went 2-2. Got pinned in the first round, had a tough opponent in the first round. I think he was undefeated. And he won via 4-3 decision on consolation side. Then kid who was wrestling got injured in the next match, so he forfeited and then was finally pinned to close out his time at state. So congrats to Caden, 2 wins up at state, really, really tough to do. And then for the Tigers, kind of the crowning achievement here, Connor Poole. I mean, a kid who's wrestled really well all season. His success, not really a surprise at all, but at 190, he wins in the first round, pins the kid. In the quarterfinals, wins via fall again, gets another pin. In the semis, he gets pinned, so moves over, has to wrestle back into the winner's side, and he did. He pinned his next opponent, got into the third place match, and won by a fall in 4:58. So congrats to Connor. Third place at 190 is a huge, huge accomplishment. So really tough to do. And then finally, let's get to the Jackson kids. All right, we're gonna try to get through this here quickly. Starting with the girls, Macy Novak. She goes 1-2. Had a decision win there. Lost, got knocked out by a pin. Lily Morningstar got pinned in her last match as well. She went 1-2 as well, though. So picked up a win there at state. And then finally, on the girls' side, Kayleigh Milam gets the job done. Wins the state title at 110 a year after losing in the championship match. Makes her way all the way back to state. Wrestles phenomenal. I mean, they took her everywhere. She wrestled some big time opponents. I think she wrestled for like USA Wrestling this past offseason. I mean, she's established herself. I mean, she's an all-time great now, right? At Jackson, she's the first girl ever to win a state title for the Indians. She's the first state champion at Jackson, period, in like 20 years, I believe. Look here, on the boys' side, Blake Pfeiffer won in 2009. Has anybody else won one after that? No. Yeah, so since 2009, she is the first state champion, period, on the mat. And like I said, the first ever state champion for the girls. Shout out to Kayleigh, man, just a beast. I mean, pin, tech fall, so she dominated in the semifinals. And won via major decision in the championship. She won 11-3 in the championship. I mean, she just ran through the competition. Absolutely awesome year for her. So shout out to Kayleigh, state champ. She deserved it, dude. Worked her butt off. Like I said, lost in the state championship last year. Got back and got the job done. So shout out to her. For the boys Indians. So let's see. Where do we start? We'll just go weight class, lowest to highest. So we'll go with Graidy Rice. Graidy started out hot. Won by a decision, won by a major decision. In the semifinals, he lost. And then in the consolation, or try to get back into the third place match, he lost. He got pinned. So that kicked him into the fifth place match. However, he won last match there. Kid wrestled a ton. I mean, 5 matches. Went 3-2. Won via tech fall, 18-3, dominant in that fifth place match. Shout out to Grady, man. Great season. Finishing with the medal around your neck. Incredible accomplishment up in Class 4. Just some beast there. And, congrats to Grady. Great career for that young man. And finishing with a medal. So big time. Mitchell Baker. Baker goes 1-2. He won his first match via pin and loses technical fall and then via fall in his last one. Cade King goes 1-2. Jaden Eddy goes 1-2. Both of them lost the first, won the second, lost the third. Gannon Rice goes 0-2 at state. Raleigh Evans goes 1-2. Similar deal where he lost the first, won the second, lost the third. Joa Moore goes 2-2 at state. He won his first, pinned his first opponent, got pinned in the second one, won via decision, and then I believe was a chance to make it to the fifth place match, maybe. I really struggle with all the wrestlebacks, consolation stuff that goes on in wrestling. He lost via ultimate tiebreaker, something I had not really technically heard of. Essentially quadruple overtime, for those of you somewhat like myself that don't know all the real ins and outs and rules of wrestling. Basically, in quadruple overtime, which you'll hear about more in a second, Joe Moore loses there, so tough break for him. I believe that final was 3-2. Jordan Sostillo, he goes 0-2. Charlie Eifert goes 0-2. And then the big man, Brysen Wessell, finishes state in second place via the ultimate tiebreaker. Great name. Great branding by the ultimate tiebreaker. Pinned his first opponent. 1-0 decision in the quarterfinals. In the semifinals, won via major decision, so he dominated there in the semifinals and got to the championship. I mean, it was a matchup of the two best offensive linemen, maybe some bias, the two best offensive linemen in the state of Missouri, probably. Brysen Wessell faced off against Kyler Kuhn. Kyler is from St. Pius out of Kansas City, I think. St. Pius out of Kansas City. And yeah, I mean, he's a beast, big, strong, like shorter than Brysen, but just like barrel-chested, thick neck kid from over there. And I think he's a 4-star. He's like the number 9 interior offensive lineman in the country. So kid's kind of a beast. Brysen loses that one in the ultimate tiebreaker. So it's like end of regulation, sudden death, nothing. Sudden death, nothing. Sudden death, nothing. Sudden death, loses 1-0. 1-0. That late, man. Tough break, but awesome accomplishment. I mean, Brysen Wessell is genuinely cementing himself as one of the all-time great athletes in Jackson history. I mean, he's a Mizzou football commit on the offensive line. He's an all-state offensive lineman a couple times now. He's second place in state in wrestling. He was all-state last year in wrestling. He's probably going to be bidding to be all-state in throws this year on the track. So, shout out to him, man. Great finish to his career. Now, let's take a breath. Now we rewind here. Let's look at where we are at in district tournaments, things like that. Some of the teams around the area, okay? Look around a little bit. Talk about a little bit of basketball that I'm not used to talking about. Get outside the region. Get outside of Cape County a little bit. Quickly. We're going to go through this quickly. We have a finite amount of time. Not really, but I'm giving myself a finite amount of time. We're going to start on the boys' side. Class 1, District 1. Cooter knocks off Risco 65-60. That game was at Gideon. There's a trilogy between those two teams. Risco won the first, Cooter won the second, and Cooter wins the third, so they move on. Big win, big rivalry, great game, back and forth contest between those. Kind of what you expected that game to be. Both teams were healthy, I think, for the first time in a long time, so really, really cool to see. Class 1 District 2 gave me a big surprise. Leopold comes out, wins 76-62. There was a 3 seed in that. They beat Delta, a team that, they had lost to a couple times already this year. Delta had pretty much owned them, and Leopold came out, took care of business, man. 76-62. I'm shocked. I was genuinely surprised. I did not think that was happening at all. I thought Delta was going to win, and I thought Delta was going to push maybe Bunker to get to the Final Four, but that is not to be. Shout out to Leopold, getting the job done. Class 2, District 1, a game I watched. Tough, physical game, man. A couple of boot heel teams. Hayti, South Pemiscot in the championship. This is kind of the matchup I wanted to see. This is the one I expected to see. I know South Tim was a 3 seed. I thought they were definitively the second best team. Hayti wins 55-51. It was tied late. Hayti did enough down the stretch. They're legit, man. They're fun to watch. It showed that they can play a tougher, lower scoring game for them. They're a team that puts up about 80 points a contest. Wouldn't surprise you. So they're going to be tough. They're going to be a tough out there in Class 2. Outside of the area significantly is another real big surprise. East Carter upset Van Buren in Class 2, District 2. I'm not going to act like I know a lot about these teams, but Van Buren puts up a ton of points. I saw him play a couple games down at Bloomfield. But East Carter, big upset. So shout out to East Carter. And then Class 2, District 3, the one district everybody loves to talk about because you got, 5 good teams in it. Upset in the first round, Advance beat Chaffee. Not something I'm too surprised by. I think I said that earlier. I was like, the last pod, I may have mentioned it, or some point. I know I mentioned it. I think I said it to Rusty whenever I talked about his. We did a preview of all the district stuff. And I said, Chaffee could beat Puxico in the semifinal, but also Advance could beat Chaffee in the first round. And that's what happened. Advance upset Chaffee in that 4-5 game. So Puxico blows out Advance. They get to the final. Charleston blows out Oran. They beat Bernie in a back and forth kind of lower scoring game. And then unbelievable game over at Bloomfield. Puxico, Charleston in the championship. Just close throughout, back and forth. I mean, the man you expect to do it, right? Landon Burchard goes coast to coast, Tyus Edney 2.0, and hits a layup as time expires. So, tough break if you're Charleston. Kind of a weird scenario there at the end. Charleston had the ball. Game was tied. And, 13 seconds, something like that. They had it. They went early. Shot was missed. Tough contested shot at the rim. Took a shot with like 7 seconds, which, I understand going early. I might not have gone that early even, but I understand why you go early. You go early so you give yourself a chance to get an offensive rebound. But the only confusing, tough part about that is they went early and they went 5 out. So there was nobody there to get an offensive rebound. So Burchard grabs the rebound, looks at the clock, right hand, layup, game over. They knock off Charleston. 54-52. All-time great game. And then they'll be facing St. Vincent. St. Vincent beat Valley Catholic up north. Class 3, District 1, and all a wide-open district. You could have told me any of like 4 teams would have won. I wouldn't be surprised. Down there, a lot of close games. New Madrid beat Twin Rivers in the semis by 5. Crothersville beat Malden at Malden, which was a little bit of a surprise. I thought Malden had a chance to sneak into that championship. So you get another rivalry game. A couple teams from down there, New Madrid and Crothersville. This time, Crothersville, who had just lost to New Madrid a couple weeks before, knocks off the Eagles. So Crothersville moving on. That game was at Malden, 62-58, all-time matchup between those two. And then another game I watched up in Park Hills at West County, Scott City Woodland. Two teams see each other a lot. They've, it's been on a collision course since last year's district title game. I think it was Lane Lee. He went coast to coast, layup as time expired, and beat Scott City by 1. This time, a really good game again. Scott City played well early. They led. Woodland started chipping away, and pretty much down the stretch, it was just Woodland made plays, man. They hit shots. Kinder, Jackson Shock hit some shots. Calvin Layton played hard. So they did enough to win. They proved that they could sit down, play defense, hit clutch shots when they need them, and they moved on. A lot of people thought Scott City was going to be the better team here, just based on some recent divergence in results, you could say. Woodland kind of losing a few you were surprised by. Scott City. Basically, Scott City almost beat Sikeston. Anytime you almost beat Sikeston in Southeast Missouri, and your name's not like Jackson, people are like, oh, maybe this team's good. And so that kind of conflated, I think, people's impression of Scott City a little bit. But Scott City, a really good team. They're going to be around again next year. You got Braden Walton, Caden Lowry, Max Snyder. A core group there I really, really, really like. But Woodland and their big senior crew moving on, staying alive. So shout out to them. Flip it over on the girls' side. I guess one thing I need to mention, one thing I forgot to mention, talk about the boys, right? In Class 3, District 2. Saxony played their last game, right? They lost to West County in the first round at West County. Kind of a tough break, having to play a road game. They lose 64-45. That ended their season 6-21. I kind of talked about it a little bit. We'll talk more about that later on in a future podcast, but they do drop that one. Tough way to go out for the Crusaders, but having to play a road game in postseason, always difficult. And then our final team there, our other first team to get eliminated from the postseason, Saxony. Saxony was the 2 seed in Class 3, District 2 on the girls' side. They win a tough game in the first round. They knocked off Scott City by 2, 59-56. They got a couple of big performances. One you expect. Kinsey Keys She always shows up for them. She had 21 points, 10 boards, 4 assists, 3 blocks, 2 steals. Does a little bit of everything. But the big one, and kind of what they're missing a lot of times, is somebody else to kind of step up. Allie Nickum breaks a program record, hits 7 threes in the ball game. So you got 2 girls going over 20 for Saxon. You're probably going to win a lot of games. Brought to you by Rhodes. And they do win on the road at Scott City to punch their ticket to the championship, where you're staring down the barrel of one of the best teams in the state, especially in Class 3, and that is St. Vincent. St. Vincent gets a big win, 70-38. But, once again, you got to commend them on the season. They're going in the right direction. Last season, they won 3 games last season. This year, they're up to 10. They're another team that is led by underclassmen. They graduate 1 senior. They have 1 junior on the roster. Everybody else, freshmen and sophomores. So, Jalen Whitfield is going to get better. Allie Nickum, Emily Mueller, Kinsey Keys. This whole crew is going to keep getting better. I'm excited to kind of see what they can do here as they head into next year. Might be on the might flip the record. Might be have a winning record next season for the first time in a couple of years. So I'm excited for that and optimistic that it will get done. Looking at the rest of Class 3, you got District 1. Twin Rivers knocks off New Madrid there. Not a surprise in my opinion. Class 2, Portageville blows out Campbell. Another non-shocker. Shout out Jordan James, assistant coach. Kind of a shocker in Class 2, District 2. Chaffee wins it, but that's not the surprising part, as much as Neelyville, the 1 seed, playing at home, lost in the semifinals after getting a bye to Malden, 56-50, which then gave Malden got the job done, 55-43. Nice win out of them. In Class 1, you look down there, there's a couple of teams, a team that has a chance to make a run. That is the Delta Bobcats. But they had to get through Bunker first. Bunker, one of the best teams in the state. They have 2 Barton girls. There we go. I'm trying to remember the last name. The one Barton girl is a senior, unbelievable, like one of the all-time leading scorers in the state of Missouri, like top 25 all-time. Delta got it done, 47-46. They were trailing throughout most of the game. Lily McDonough, the freshman, kind of pulled them back. So I'm excited to kind of see, they've got a matchup here coming up we'll talk about in a second, but big win for the Bobcats. They continue their district streak here. They are just very, very dominant down there in Class 1, District 1, and they keep it rolling, man. 47-46, huge win over a Bunker team a lot of people thought, could pull off that win there in Class 1, District 1. So props to them on getting it done. So now let's look ahead to what we have coming up here in the postseason. We will start there. We'll start small, work our way up. We'll start with the girls. So we'll start with girls, Class 1. Sectional Monday, March 2nd, 6 p.m. Van Buren High School. Delta will be taking on Chadwick. This is a rematch from last season. Chadwick knocked them out last year in the same game. Chadwick went on to win a state title last year, and so Delta, chance to kind of get back here. I feel like Chadwick is the favorite, but, anything can happen here. Delta has already had to play a really good Bunker team in the district championship, like I mentioned, so they are battle-tested, but Chadwick did blow out Delta last season, and they do have some state championship experience coming back. So I think Chadwick is the favorite, but we're pulling for Delta to knock them out, get the win this year. If Delta does win, big if, obviously, you have a tough test against Chadwick. They'll be playing March 6th at 6 p.m. at Liberty Mountain View High School, so go even way further out west. And that will presumably be against Walnut Grove. Walnut Grove got 3rd last year. I think they'll win their sectional game. And then, Walnut Grove is an absolute powerhouse. They're a team that's in the Final Four just about every year. So if Delta is able to make a Final Four run, it will be very, very impressive because they will have to go through, the reigning state champs in Chadwick and then a Walnut Grove team that is coming off a Final Four last year, and they've won, 5 state titles since 2013. They've been to 5 other Final Fours. So you got to go against some big dogs if you're going to get there. So best of luck to Delta. That's kind of their path moving forward. In Class 2, you got Portageville Chaffee. That will be March 2nd, 6 p.m. at Clarkton High School. It's kind of virtually a home game for Portageville. A lot closer trip than Chaffee has. Portageville has 22 wins, Chaffee with 21. Chaffee beat a solid Malden team. Portageville had a blowout, but I think Portageville is the favorite if you're just comparing scores. They also have Final Four experience. Irby and Farmer coming back, 2 of the better players from last year's team, and 2 really, really good players, both, I think, 1,000-point scorers in their career. So Chaffee's going to have a tough test. They have athletes, though. They can do it. They have played really tough competition. I just kind of like where Portageville's at here, but I wouldn't be surprised if either team won. The winner will be playing March 6th, 6 p.m. against the winner of Bismarck and Duchesne. That game will be at Dexter. So it'll be down here, southeast Missouri. That'll be nice for whichever team comes out here of the sectional. They'll probably play in Bismarck. Bismarck 20-4, tough team, but they'll cross that road and get there. So best of luck to either team, and hope to see them in the Final Four. It'd be cool. Portageville goes back to back. Portageville has a big run here, winning districts, and then I think they've won 3 straight sectionals. So they're kind of playing at a different level right now. Class 3, you've got St. Vincent Twin Rivers at Sykeston on March 2nd, 6 p.m. St. Vincent's the favorite, right? St. Vincent is the favorite, in my opinion, to get to the Final Four from this part of the bracket. They're top half the bracket. I think they're the favorite to get to the state title game. If they do win Monday against Twin Rivers, they'll be playing March 6th at Arcadia Valley, which could be against Arcadia Valley. So Arcadia Valley could be playing at home. It's them and Lutheran North. Once again, I expect St. Vincent to be in the state championship game eventually. They're super talented, and they've been there before. And the state title game will probably be against Principia, a team they lost to by 30, but things might go different this time. And then finally, that's as far as the state tournament goes. I'll flip over to the boys here. Look at them. Class 1 sectional down here. You got Cooter and Leopold. That game will be March 3rd, so Tuesday, and it will be at Advance High School. Big geographical advantage for Leopold there, much closer than Cooter is to Advance. I think the favorite here, I lean Cooter a little bit. I think they've done a little bit more than Leopold has this year, but I really like this Leopold team. I've seen them play the last couple of years, calling the Christmas tournament games. Riley England, Preston Campbell, now Braden Dwyer, the freshman, Tommy Beesink. All these guys are good basketball players. It wouldn't surprise me if they won, but I think Cooter I give a slight edge to. And the winner will presumably play Bunker, my guess. And that game will be at Van Buren March 7th, so Saturday at 1 p.m. And there, if I'm being honest, I think Bunker is the definitive favorite. They got the Brennan Malloy kid is a really, really good player. I think they're probably the best team in the top half of the bracket, but hey, surprise me. Go beat them. Go make it to the Final Four. That'd be sick. So, best of luck to Cooter and Leopold. In Class 2, you got Hayti and East Carter, the first sectional. That's another one. That game is going to be at Poplar Bluff High School, another virtual home game for East Carter. East Carter did upset Van Buren. A weird fact I saw looking at schedules, things like that, East Carter has not played a home game since January 15th. So, I don't know what that means, but fun fact. And then in the game, I lean Hayti. I think Hayti is a better team here. They're explosive offensively. They got a lot of options, but East Carter showed that they could knock off an explosive team like they just did against Van Buren. And the other one here of note, Puxico and St. Vincent will be playing Tuesday, 6 p.m. at Notre Dame High School. A game that I would be at, but I'm calling it a Jackson game in districts. It's like 3 minutes from my house, whatever. St. Vincent, a little bit closer than Puxico is to Notre Dame. Obviously, Puxico went to the Final Four last year. I think they're a huge favorite. Max Wheeler, though, good player for St. Vincent, going to be somebody to look out for. But if you ask me, Puxico, in my opinion, is the favorite to get to the Final Four out of that foursome. The winners of those will face off. I think it's going to be Hayti. My prediction is Hayti Puxico. That will be March 7th at 1 p.m., so Saturday at Dexter. So it could be Hayti Puxico, Dexter. Would be a great one in the quarterfinals. Outside of that, I don't know what you're going to see. We can talk about that. I mean, I don't know anything about Lincoln has a great record. I don't know Crest Ridge, Wellington, Napoleon. I know Penny has a big dude, like a really good football player, like 6'8", 250. But outside of that, I'm not going to act like I know anything about these teams I don't even know where these people are from somewhere. Class 3, you got Crothersville Woodland. Another game where I feel like there's a definitive favorite in my mind. That's Woodland. The game will be at Bloomfield. I just like what I've seen out of Woodland a little bit more. I mean, Crothersville is a 500 team. They're 14-14. Woodland's 24-4. I think Woodland's a heavy favorite. You know, they've shown they can win multiple different ways. If they commit to playing defense, they can play very, very good defense. And, you know, they have the dudes to run also. If they get sucked into a track meet, they can outrun Crothersville, in my opinion, as well. And then they'll be playing in the quarterfinals also Saturday. That game will be at St. Genevieve High School against the winner of Valley Park and Miller Career Academy. This will be, in my opinion, this game will be tougher than whoever they would face in anybody they would face in the semifinals. Miller Career is legit. I mean, they play a super tough schedule. They got a dude that averages like 30 points a game. CJ Nelson. Valley Park also pretty darn good. They have a good record. This is their first district title in forever. I'm leaning toward Miller Career getting to the quarterfinal, and like I said, it'll be a tough game. You know, they're super quick. They have pretty good positional length, and they can score the ball. I mean, like I said, they have a guy that put up 50 a couple weeks ago, so it's going to be a battle. Woodland will definitely have a hard time getting into that Final Four. If they do get there, though, I wouldn't be surprised to see them win it and get to the state title game where they play Principia. They're going to lose. They're going to lose to Principia. We're just not. We don't have to pretend here. Okay. So, moving on, bigger classes. Sticking with the boys. Actually, no, we'll go to the girls real quick. Girls, Class 4. We don't have a Class 4 team. It's going to be Donovan and Kennett, in my opinion, in the championship game. Donovan, a heavy favorite. I think Donovan's going to win. The winner will be playing at Jackson High School March 9th at 6 p.m. So it could be Donovan versus maybe a Potosi, somebody from that region up there. And I think Donovan has a good shot to make it back to the Final Four. So I'll be excited. I'll be rooting for the Donettes if they are there playing a Potosi. But Kennett's, you got Elise Edwards. Anything can happen. Then let's get to Class 5 District 1. So Class 5 District 1 is where Cape and Notre Dame are. Seeds there, you got Hillsboro, Farmington, Festus. Cape is the 4 seed. DeSoto. Notre Dame is the 6 seed. Sykeston, Poplar Bluff. So Cape will be playing DeSoto in the 4-5 game. That's March 2nd at 5:30. And this district will be at Farmington High School, so a little bit of a drive up north, closer to DeSoto. I think this is a winnable game for Cape. DeSoto, 10-16. You know, anytime you have to play in a little bit of a road environment, it's going to be tough, but I definitely think this is a game Cape can win. Sorry, I'm just nose. If Cape does win, they'll be playing March 4th at 5:30 again, and I presume they'll be playing against Hillsboro. Hillsboro's a 1 seed. It's going to be tough. Hillsboro's a 23-win team, 22-win team. They've got a big girl inside who, you know, puts up 20 points a game. It's going to be tough. You know, Cape has size. You know, Nidra Ivy inside is good size. And they have good guards around her, but it's going to be a tough battle for Cape Central. They might be a year away from being able to get into a district championship game, but we'll see what happens. Notre Dame in the first round, they'll be playing the 3 seed Festus. Festus is 20-6. That game will be at 8:30 at Farmington, so good luck, Notre Dame fans. It's going to be a late night. That game is scheduled to start at 8:30, probably going to be later. Festus is a very, very tough defensive team. A lot of these wins, you see, it's like they're giving up 29 points, 30 points, 26 points. They have 4 girls who can score double figures pretty much any night. So they're going to be a very tough matchup. They have a lot of different options. They're really, really tough defensively. It's going to be an uphill battle for Notre Dame. If they do manage to win, they will probably be facing Farmington, who is the 2 seed, and that'll be March 4th at 7 p.m. So be on the lookout. Best of luck to Cape and Notre Dame. They could play each other in the championship. That'd be sick. But we'll see how it goes. But good luck to both. Let's jump up to Class 6, District 1 on the girls' side. So Class 6, District 1, Jackson is there. They're the 1 seed. Yeah, Corhay Zoo, Ursuline Academy, Kirkwood, Seckman, Oakville, Lindbergh, Fox. Jackson, we play Fox March 2nd, 6 p.m. The game will be at Corhay Zoo. Jackson should roll. That's Jackson's going to win over Fox by 50. Let me pull up their district real quick. So if they win, they'll be playing March 4th at 4:30. Idiotic. Let's make the team just 2 hours away. Have to travel. All of their parents have to take off work like 3 hours early. Literally, the kids, the bell rings. They walk straight to the parking lot, drive to Corhay Zoo. They probably wouldn't even be there before the first quarter's over. Stupid. It perturbs me quite a bit. They'll be playing either Kirkwood, Seckman. I don't know who's going to be there. I mean, Seckman beat Kirkwood early in the year. Wouldn't surprise me if Kirkwood's there. Either way, I think Jackson's going to be a definitive favorite in that ball game. And they're probably going to make it to the championship. And the championship of this district will be March 6th at 5 p.m. Why are we playing? It's a Friday. We don't have to get to school the next day. Play the game at 7. 6:30. Let people go to work and drive to the game. Let people go to school, get off school, maybe get a snack and get to the game on time. But no, 5 p.m. on a Friday, stupid. Anyway, Jackson will be playing either Corhay Zoo or Ursuline Academy. The first time those two teams played, it was really close. Corhay Zoo, I mentioned, Jackson blew them out, but they didn't have the Ortworth girl. Ursuline Academy has a big girl who is going to SLU, the university SLU. So both these teams super talented. Jackson's going to have a tough test. I mean, it's going to be a road game against either of them. It will be a literal road game. It will be at Corhay Zoo if that's who we're playing in the championship. The game will be at Corhay Zoo. So, Jackson fans, if you can show up, get there, be loud, make some noise, try to fight back against the man there that is Misha and Corhay Zoo. All right, looking at the boys. Let's talk about a little bit of boys basketball. So Class 4, District 1. That's where we find Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the 2 seed behind Dexter, Notre Dame, Fredericktown, Doniphan, Kennett, Perryville. The way it's set up, Dexter and Notre Dame both get byes, so they're both already in the semifinals. So Notre Dame's first game, we don't know the opponent yet. It will be Thursday, March 5th, 7:30 p.m. This district will be hosted by Dexter, which makes sense in the fact that they have, by far the biggest gym in the entire district, but it still stinks when you're Notre Dame and you know that you're probably going to be playing Dexter in a championship game on their home court. But so Notre Dame's first matchup will be presumably Fredericktown. And Fredericktown going to be a tough team. This is a team that Notre Dame played early in the season, pre-Christmas, 65-55. Notre Dame won. I'd say it is a game that they can win again. You just got to be able to, take care of the coach's kid, the Reutzel kid. Don't let him get hot from the outside. If they win in that semifinal, they're going to play Dexter. It's going to be at Dexter, and it's going to be a Saturday game at 4:30, March 7th. Dexter won the first matchup, 63-54. You just got to come in. Notre Dame, if you're able to play like you did for 4 quarters, the way you did early against Jackson, be the aggressor, be physical, attack relentlessly, hit the glass, all these things. They could be there at the very end and win this ball game. Though, with Coach Allen, this Dexter team is going to be physical. It's going to be a defensive game. They're fine playing in the 30s. They're fine playing in the 60s. You just got to cut off penetration. You can't let Sepulvedo and Turnbow and Nichols, you can't let these kids get in the paint over and over again because they'll either score at the rim, which they're really good at. They have good length at the guard spots and strength and Turnbow. They have good shooters on the kick out. They can dump it off to Ibrahim. You can't let Ibrahim kill you down low either. The kid is really good down low. And, Notre Dame doesn't have a lot of depth inside. You got Jones, you got Dannon Mueller, but outside of that, it's going to be tough. So you got to prevent that kid from going off. Class 5, District 1. This district will be at Cape. Now, unfortunately for Cape, this is the worst team they've had in like 15 years. So the seedings go Sikeston, Festus, Farmington, Hillsborough, West Plains, Cape, Poplar Bluff, DeSoto. So in the first round, Cape plays Farmington March 3rd, 8 p.m. You got to take care of the ball. Farmington's going to pressure you. You got to get out on shooters. They have kids that can shoot all over the floor. They usually play 5 kids that can all knock down shots from 3. And, with that, cut off driving lanes. You can't let them get downhill, obviously score around the basket, but then you can't let them get downhill and then kick out when you collapse to open shooters. That's what they're looking to do. They don't really have post presence per se. They have some kids with decent height, some kids with decent size, but they don't have back to the basket scores. So this is a game. I mean, look, Cape lost this game the first time they played, right? They lost big, I think, the first time they played this game. But I don't think Farmington is unbeatable. I know they're a 19-win team. Yeah, they blew them out. It was 70-46. This was right after the SEMO Conference tournament. I mean, I think this is a game Cape could win. And in my opinion, nobody in this district is unbeatable outside of Sikeston. So if Cape is able to win, they'll be playing the winner of Festus and Poplar Bluff, which once again, like I watched Jackson play Festus. Festus has kids that are good, but they're very easy to shut down and stop. They have a big kid. They have a 6'8", big old boy inside, 240, 250, big kid. But, I mean, once again, like I said, March 5th, 7 p.m., that would be if Cape wins. We'll be playing probably Festus. Cape could just get blown out against Farmington. That could happen. But they could also be in the championship game, and I wouldn't be shocked. So, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm rooting for Cape here. I'm hoping for the best. I hope they make a run. Obviously, if you end up in the championship, you're going to play Sikeston, and Sikeston's going to win. Look, Sikeston's winning this district. We don't have to pretend here. But I do think Cape is capable of making a run, just because none of these teams, Festus, Farmington, Hillsborough, none of these teams are super, they don't put a lot of fear in me personally. And finally, Class 6, District 1. That is where you find Jackson. Jackson got the 2 seeds. You got Cardinal Ritter, Jackson, Lindbergh, Seckman, Slough, Kirkwood, Oakville, Fox. So Jackson will be playing Oakville. This is another stupid thing, by the way. I have lots of complaints. Another stupid thing, we keep letting teams host who can't host all the teams adequately because their gyms are too small. But you refuse to let the teams that can host because you don't want to go down to Jackson. Stupid. So Jackson's a 2 seed. They'll be playing Oakville. That game is Tuesday at 5 p.m. Once again, so inconvenient. 5 p.m. That game will be at Lindbergh, who is the 3 seed, but they get to host the bottom half of the bracket. So they get to play a home game. It's the 3 seed against Kirkwood in the first round, which is BS and stupid, and I think it's dumb. I can complain about it so much, trust me. Jackson will be playing Oakville. I mean, look, this is a winnable game. Oakville, 9-16. This is a team that Jackson has beaten multiple times the last few years. They have a couple kids that are solid. The Eckhard kid at guard, tough lefty, strong body guard. Max Simakaitis, good ball player, good football, basketball kid, strong, probably 6'4", 6'5". He's gonna be a tough matchup. He's a versatile wing type of kid, but this is a matchup Jackson has largely dominated all time. It says they're 7-2. Jackson's won 6 straight. The last loss to Oakville was in 2010. So we beat them my senior year at their place in the district championship. So let's go. So this is a game that's very winnable for Jackson. And then it immediately gets tough, right? It's going to get tough very soon after that. So they'll be playing again March 5th. Time is TBD. It'll probably be 5 o'clock again, and I'll probably complain about it. Just not on here. It'll probably be 5 o'clock. It'll probably be Lindbergh, right? But those 2 teams, Lindbergh and Kirkwood, played earlier. It was a 1-possession, 2-possession game. So could go either way. I'm expecting it to be Lindbergh. Lindbergh's tough. I mean, Lindbergh has really good size across the board. Like the entire team is 6 foot to 6'6". So they've got strong, good size kids. There's 3 kids on the team that average double digits. They're very similar to Jackson, except they have a lot more experience. They've got 6 seniors, 11 total juniors and seniors. So, I mean, they got a lot of old kids, a lot of big, strong kids, and they can shoot the ball every year. You know, when Jackson plays them, it's just super physical, really, really tough defensive ball game. And, yeah, I mean, they're going to be playing a home game, essentially. It's going to be at SLU. The semifinals and finals will be at SLU High, St. Louis University High. Right by the Science Center. I think you have to park at the Science Center and walk across. At least that's what I did the last time I went there. Also, just annoying and inconvenient. I'm just going to keep complaining, but I'm going to do it. So, I mean, that's going to be a very tough game. I think it's a game that Jackson can win, but it's not going to be easy. Lindbergh is looking to get back against Jackson a little bit, I think. You know, the Indians beat them a couple of times, including, 2 years ago? At their place, Jackson knocked them off whenever they had a team that they really thought that they could be competitive and maybe win a district title a couple years ago. And it was being played at Lindbergh. They had a big 7-foot-tall kid. College scouts were in there. And Jackson beat them close, 62-55, and before losing to Cardinal Ritter. And, yeah, these teams that see each other a lot. Jackson has won 5 straight over Lindbergh. Most of them in their Lindbergh tournament, but a couple in a row now in districts. Jackson has beat them 38-37 in the year Jackson went to the Final Four, and then 62-55 the next year. So it's always very competitive. Yeah, every one of these games in this 5-game stretch has been 10 or less. So it's going to be close. It's going to be very, very tough for Jackson to get to the championship. But if they do get to the championship, that will be Saturday, March 7th at 1 p.m., and presumably it will be against Cardinal Ritter. Cardinal Ritter's the 1 seed. I mean, they're super athletic, super talented. I mean, just size, length, everywhere. Just big body dudes, long arms. Guards are tall. You got Brock Bass Bonner inside, who's 6'8". He's got offers to SLU. He's got offers to Florida State. They're not a great shooting team. I mean, defensively, you got to cut off the paint. This team is going to try to get downhill. They're going to try to shoot layups and layups and layups. And if they don't make the layups, they're going to try to get offensive rebound and offensive rebound and offensive rebound. So cutting off drives, getting defensive rebounds defensively is the entire key for Jackson. This team is going to try to get downhill, and they're going to attack the glass. Offensively, must not turn it over 20 times. Okay? Jackson has struggled with against Notre Dame. They turned it over 20 times. They had 20 turnovers against Notre Dame. If you play Cardinal Ritter's a lot better than Notre Dame. No offense to the Bulldogs. So, got to take care of the basketball if you play Cardinal Ritter in the championship. They're going to pressure you all over the floor. All right? They got guys like Oscar Patterson that's 6'4". He's got like a 12-foot wingspan. Okay? So, you've got to take care of the basketball. That is the only key offensively. Take care of the basketball. Defensively, stop drives, defensive rebound. Even then, you might not win, but they're a talented team. They play a crazy tough schedule. They beat some really good teams. They beat MICDS. They beat Battle. They beat CBC. So, regardless, it's going to be tough. Okay? You're in Class 6. It's the way it is. Their semifinal, your final is going to be unbelievably hard games. But I'm excited for it. You know, I'll be there if you want to listen to me more. 104.7 The Bridge. Yours truly. We'll be calling all Jackson games. I implore you to go make the trip if you can make the trip. I know it's going to be hard timing-wise to work out, but I'd like to see some fans in the stands for the Indians when they're playing a bunch of road games. So, whatever. Make it work. So, I think that pretty much does it for me. I talked about everything, right? Finished regular season, basketball, swimming. Shout out Karsynne McAlister. Wrestling. Shout out Kayleigh Milam. Brysen Wessell, etc. Graidy Rice. Lindley Lavallee. Shout out everybody. They did it. Great seasons. Great seasons to, swimmers, wrestlers, tough sports I could never do. So very, very impressive years for them, man. Season's over. A lot of their careers are over now in sports. So shout out to all the seniors that went out, man. You went out tough. Like I said, you play a tough, grueling sport regardless what you do. So shout out to y'all. And, we're in the postseason now for basketball. We've lost Saxony boys and girls already. And so we'll see how long we hang on here. I'll be back after the class 4, 5, and 6 districts are done. That's Saturday. So I'll record again either probably Sunday or Monday. And that's when we'll be back. So we'll be back next week. Talk about all these games, talk about all the districts, and see what we got left, man. See if we have anybody left hanging on. And there's not a lot left. We're almost done with basketball. We're about to turn the page to the spring sports. I saw spring sports, I think, start practice Monday the 2nd, which for me is tomorrow. It's Sunday right now behind us. We'll break the fourth wall here. Outside of that, not a lot to talk about. SEMO men's and women's are both going to be in the OVC tournament. The women snuck in. I think they're the 8th seed, so they'll have a tough path to go, obviously. But the fact that they were able to play their way in there is very, very cool. So shout out to them. I am semi-stalling to try to pull it up. On the women's side, they're the 8th seed. They'll be playing Wednesday, March 4th, 12:30 p.m. against Little Rock. Games will be in Evansville, Indiana. So best of luck to them. If they win, they'll be playing the 5th, and then the 6th, and then the 7th. On the men's side, the men finish with the 3 seed, so they get a bye from the first round. They'll be playing the winner of Lindenwood and Little Rock, so a tough matchup. Lindenwood, Jadis Jones, Dontrose Williams, shout out to them. Little Rock has dudes all over the court. That game will be Thursday, March 5th at 8:30 p.m., so late night game for SEMO. It's about a 3-hour drive, I think, to Evansville. So, stay up late, go watch some basketball, get over there and come back. Get to work the next day. Good luck. If SEMO does advance to the semifinals, they'll be playing Morehead State. That will be March 6th at 9:30 p.m. Oh, my gosh. Holy cow. The game will be on ESPNU if they make it to the semifinals. Other games on ESPN+. And then the finals are Saturday, March 7th. 8 p.m. They're reversed to sleep here in the OVC. Anyway, there's that. That's about all I have to say. Shout out to Barrett Reagan. Barrett Reagan committed to SEMO. Track and field, 400-meter runner, 200-meter runner, maybe 100-meter runner. It's going to take the league over by storm. So shout out to Barrett. He's a stud. Hope he goes and pushes to be in the state finals a couple times again this year. Maybe mess around and knock off his brother, win a state title in the 400. We'll see what happens. We'll get you there then. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to get off here. I appreciate everybody. Like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. I appreciate it. If you ever see me in public, come up to me, talk about whatever sport you want to talk about. I appreciate it. All social media, you can find us Exit 99 Sports. I'll keep sharing, results, schedule changes. Hey, here's a game coming on today. Check it out. Yada, yada. I'll keep you up to date on everything. Kids committing, kids highlights, anything like that. I always share and post everything I can find about any of our local teams here, any of our local athletes. So hit us up there. If I ever get anything wrong, slide in the DMs, tell me, or anything I miss, slide in the DMs, hit me up, let me know. If you get any stats, some of these spring sports coming up, coaches don't do a good job about posting stats or results. Hit me up with those parents. So let me know. I appreciate you guys. Otherwise, we'll wrap up there, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.